All right, Maria, would you like to do the recap?
Yes. Waller just straight up sucks, fam. He's real bad. He was like, hey, who do you work for? And everyone was like, we work for Scoops Ahoy. And then, he burned for his bear, and everyone was really sad about it. And then Peren was like, you don't have a gun. And he was like, yeah, fam. And then he chopped off Quinn's hair. And then he tried to give Esmenee a book deal? Question mark. And then he stabbed Aramin, I guess. And then Aramin was bleeding a lot. And then we all got out of our handcuffed shackles and eventually, great time. Eventually, after being sad for a very long time.
It took you guys a lot longer than I thought it would. Yeah,
it took so long. Yeah, fam. And then Valka showed up, crazy feral vigilante dragon lady. She saved us, and she's also Peren's mom. Surprise! And and then we fought this big fire dude and some other people, and we got some of our stuff back, but I don't have my spears to like this. And I think that was it. Is that it? What else? We went to a boat, I think.
Yeah, you guys managed to escape Ochana after some serious mental torment from
not fun.
Commander Waller. Actually, he's General Waller now. I don't know if you guys picked up on that.
Gross.
He's a general now.
Failing upwards. I like specific Waller, actually.
Specific Waller, yeah. Okay. Yeah, and we pick up right where we left off, as we always do. I'm going to turn down the music really fast because it's freaking loud. Pick up where we left off. You guys are getting on this barge. It's like half full of logs. It's about 60, 70 feet long. It's about 30 feet wide. It's more of a transport ship. It's not completely full. There's about 6 logs, each about 20 to 30 feet in length, and they're about 5 feet around. These are very, very large logs that are being kept on the ship. It's usually, Lyra, as you know, to be transported to Valerie, to Esmenee, to Tymester. There's lots and lots of different places that this would goes. Yeah, and you guys were boarding as what's his nuts was on there.
We had a short rest, right?
You had a short rest. You haven't had a long rest yet.
Oh, okay.
Endorin, yes, the Endorin, the Goliath blacksmith. Was waiting for you with Kara, bringing up the rear as you guys enter the ship. So,
Endorin? So who's on the ship with us?
From what you can see, it's just Endorin and Kara. Those are the only 2 people you can see currently. This is y'all's bag of holding. You are welcome to look in it whenever you want.
It'll be embarrassing.
The amulet is back!
No! Oh my god.
Alright, my friends, you're on this barge, and it is slowly beginning to take off. Endorin himself is pulling up the anchor, kind of taking that chain. Is it like a large spike that's stuck in the ground? Really, really heavy chain that's keeping it in. He's bringing it in. There's a loud wheel that's click, 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 pulling that chain back up, and you guys are slowly making your way off of the shore and down the Islingmiota River.
Meta question.
What's up?
Does everybody in the world understand what a bag of holding is? Or does it just look like a bag and it just happens to be a bag of holding?
You can make an intelligence check for sure.
Hate that.
I don't know what a bag of holding is. I technically possess the bag of holding, so I'm assuming I know what it is.
That is a big 14.
It holds
a 14.
infinite stuff.
You've heard of a bag of holding. Coming from your background, you haven't really seen one or ever really held one, but you know of it. It's decently common knowledge out here.
So what I'm saying is, if you do they look specific, or is it?
They
just
all look different.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, if that's the case, while we are on this barge, Fur walks over to this new mystery bag and kind of peeks into it.
You open it, and it's just black.
Interesting.
It is waiting for you to call something towards it.
Well, then how do we know what's inside it if it's just black?
Well, you can just summon something to your hand.
Take a guess.
Can I just reach in?
Yeah.
Great. I reach in.
Roll a d4 for me, please.
Oh, roll your damage.
3.
You reach in, and at first you feel nothing. You expect to feel like the bottom of the bag or something. Like I said, this concept of an endless bag in a separate dimension is a weird concept for fur. But you reach in, you rummage around, and you feel nothing, and then all of a sudden you feel a small glass vial in your hand. You pull it out. There is a very thick golden liquid. It's just kind of swishing around inside of it.
He kind of turns it over, holds it up to the light.
There's no light. It's dark outside.
Looks up at the starlight and says, "Wow, can't see a thing. It sure is dark out here."
I wish I had dark vision.
He kind of looks it over, frowns a little bit only because it carries no meaning as of right now, and kind of...
You can make an Arcana check to see if you know what it is.
I definitely would. That would not go well for me.
You can try.
Maybe you're lucky.
That's when I take a shot.
That's a big old 9.
A 9? You've never seen this before.
Is this whiskey?
It might be molasses.
It might be molasses. Great. So I look at the shimmering molasses, and without much thought, I kind of pitch it back in the bag, and am unsatisfied by the fact that there is no thump of it hitting the bottom.
As it gets through the brim, it just enveloped by darkness.
Are we all standing here? Are we all?
Yeah, I'm assuming so.
I'm very confused as to why he's touching the thing that I'm holding.
I had something that I wanted to do, but that's not what I pulled out, so I had to make do.
Silent movie.
Okay, yeah. What would Fur be looking for specifically?
Nothing looking for, not knowing what's inside it. Originally, it was going to be the length of rope.
Okay.
And I was going to pull the length of rope.
And
And it was going to continuously get longer. And the question, I was like, how deep is this bag?
You can roll another d4 and see if you get it.
You know I'm good.
Okay.
You know I'm good.
The joke is out in the meta now.
Wait, I want to know what's in the bag.
It's a grappling hook and some rope. And
What? Grappling hook?
Yeah.
Obviously, you guys don't know this is in there. This is all meta. You guys have never
I want
seen
to try to
this
find the
bag.
grappling hook.
Roll a d4.
4.
Of 4.
Is that the
You
grappling hook?
stick your arm
No.
inside the bag of holding. Same thing as for rummage around, and all of a sudden you feel something like cold in your hand. You pull it out, and it is a healing potion.
Oh, okay.
It's like swishing around in your
I need
hand.
one of those. Nice.
Did you take it?
Put it back in the bag?
Yeah, no, I took it.
You took it?
You took it?
Well, now I want to look at the bag. Alright, at this point, Lyra
This
just
is
takes
this entire
it.
section.
Armin is just like, what the fuck is going on?
Lyra's currently getting mugged.
No, it takes it. He goes, you don't mind, right?
No, it's cool, right?
And then he puts it in his pocket.
I've died more than anyone else here.
Yeah, he's like, trust me, I need
Yeah,
it.
that's fair. You can have it.
At this point, Kara is just laying on the ground next to this log. She's kind of like half slumped up against it. Her
Alright,
back
she's
is
kind of
rolled.
actually dying.
Yeah,
Alright, I
she's
take
like
my healing
bleeding from
potion.
the face. Like
Oh,
she's got
yeah.
cuts in her
Do
arms.
you want to like heal your mom maybe?
Yeah.
She's pretty torched.
I say I took this from my mom. I swear. I was totally thinking of that when I took it.
She's just laying. She's not even looking. Her eyes are just closed. Her axes are at her belt, and they're kind of like laying off to the side. Her legs are just flat. Her eyes are just closed. You guys can hear the faint rumble of thunder off in the distance.
Does she have?
Can I give her the healing?
Does she have hit points?
I mean,
Is she,
yeah.
Is she dead? Like, is she?
No, she's
dying?
not dead.
She's still
She
breathing,
seems alive.
nothing.
She's breathing.
No, I healed her at the end of the battle.
I just want to make sure she's not unconscious.
No, she's not unconscious.
Yeah, I healed her at the end of the battle.
Yeah.
Can I give her the healing
Is she
potion?
a ghost? Does she have hit points? Dylan says no.
It's a neck.
Yeah, so you take the healing potion, you bring it over to her, and she's... Hi.
Hi, Mom.
What?
You look like you could use this.
Sure. And she's...
There was three of them, now there's two.
And she just throws it off the side of the boat.
Way to let her, Mom.
Way to litter.
I had a very long day.
Yeah, it's gonna be longer.
My
Because
son
we
is-
need to talk.
My son is alive.
Because we need to talk.
Can we talk tomorrow?
No.
Why is she?
You've had 10 years of this building up.
What is this energy?
Are we all still standing there, or should we all just
Listen to my
like give them
conversation with my mom.
privacy?
You guys all disperse.
kidding,
Like,
I'm
alright, this is awkward.
So I'm just gonna lay over here on the side.
Endorin at this point is at the helm of the ship. He's at the very back, and you can see him the back of the ship is a little bit raised. It kind of just goes up in a ramp to the side, and there is a helm at the back. You can see him steering. There's no sails on this barge. It definitely seems like it just goes with the current of the river and of the ocean when it comes out and around. But he is at the helm steering. Can everybody make a perception check for me really fast?
Perception. Oh, that is a
16.
It's a note from me, dog.
17.
5.
17. Flaccid 20.
Flaccid 20.
I'm gonna eat all of these.
Oh, I also have a
Car,
class of 20.
K-R.
What a time.
Yeah.
Class of 20. All right. You guys all hear,
Peren too.
except for Peren. You're too focused on your mom. Just a faint crying. Like it seems like it's trying to be contained. Like you can just hear someone sniffling off in the distance on the other side of the logs. Anyways, what would you guys like to
I
do?
just live in a house.
Fur is going to go after the sobbing sound. I'm gonna let
Quinn as well.
Peren do what Peren's doing.
You
Quinn's
with
gonna go
Litterbug
with Fur.
you walk your way.
Lyra's gonna tie her bag shut so nobody else is gonna run their hands through it.
Roll a d20 for me.
Me?
D20, sleight of hand.
Oh shit, okay. No.
What was it?
8.
It's a pretty shit knot.
But it's not.
It's
so
not.
It's fine.
It's not the best. It's one of those
It's
ones where you can just
not
pull the
the
string
best.
and it just comes out. But it's just,
Honestly, why did you even put a string on there?
you make your way. Like there's the helm on your right and the logs are on the left, and you make your way between them. And around the corner, you see a very, very large human man. He's about the size of you, Fur. He's sitting kind of on the ground, just slumped over. His head is in his hands. He's got very short, cropped black hair and a very large, just unruly beard. You can see like there's braids in it that kind of have been unkept, like they've fallen out. But you can see his head is in his hands. He's very softly crying. Just doesn't want anybody to see him in this condition as well. He has some pretty decent clothing on. It's definitely outdoor work clothing. You can see there's like smears of mud and dirt on it. There's like the occasional blood stain. Some rough pants and some work boots. He's just kind of sitting there with his head in his hands. You can see him like shaking and his hands are shaking. He pulls them away from his face and just looks. He's not even paying attention to you guys as you approach.
Esmenee is also kind of following at a distance because she wants to know what's going on, but she's also very uncomfortable with other people's emotions.
Having just survived being almost burned alive several times, and not feeling his best, Fur kind of comes over, looks at the man, and in silence sits beside him and places his hands kind of resting on his knees. And
he kind of
just like looks at the man. And
he like takes his hands aside. His face is all red. He's got like a very large nose and like puffy cheeks from crying. His face is all red. He's got like really dark, like intense brown eyes and big bushy eyebrows. I just you can ignore me. I'm just nothing.
In his silence, Fur kind of looks around. This being a logging ship, there's kind of bits and pieces of wood kind of scattered a bit, and he pulls out a single small knife and just starts to carve, and it's just kind of there and silently keeping the man company without necessarily saying anything.
Quinn is standing kind of in front of both of them. She'll squat down to ask, "Friend, are you all right?"
I've been better, as it's been a rough couple of hours. I'm sorry, I don't want to bother you with my sob
She
stories.
sits down. We have nothing but time. Are you from the city?
Yes.
How did you end up here?
Well, I worked with the rebellion with my husband. And he starts to, his tears, that you can see him start to well up in his eyes. And they called us over here, and he didn't make it. We were supposed to escape. They started burning the city, and we were running, and there was nothing I could do. Smushed. A fucking bug on the ground. Mark, my husband, was Ethan.
Quinn doesn't say anything,
Fur,
but she looks like visibly pained.
He continues to whittle his small piece of wood. At this point, it's starting to take the shape of like a coiled snake. He's currently working the center through to kind of get the center of the coils done. And he puts it down for a second and looks at the man and just says,
Before you do that, can you make me a dexterity check and your proficiency bonus to see how well you carved it?
sure. That is a 19.
19. Looks pretty good.
And he says, in times like these, sacrifices are being made by people all over, willing and unwilling. I'm sorry for your loss. And he kind of leans back and continues to carve.
I appreciate your words, friends. Death is necessary for life to be meaningful. It's just hard to see.
I'm gonna stop you because what they did will not go unpunished. Death is inevitable, but not by their hands. Not like this. No one should have had to go like this.
It wasn't the fist that did it to him, though. It was one of the Fae. One of those elementals smashed him.
I stand by my word.
I tried to do everything I could, but he was gone before I could even get back. He was carrying our books. Maybe we could figure out something. He dropped one, and the last thing I ever saw was his scared face, looking back at me.
Your husband was a good and noble man.
He was. He kind of covers his face again and wipes him. I just hope it wasn't for nothing. Our home is gone. The entire city. It's been destroyed. When they started burning that forest, the Fae really came out. Burnt our homes. They got all the way to the wall. They burnt that too. You guys turn, kind of looking back towards Ochana. You can still see like an orangish glow coming from where Ochana was. It's starting to kind of fade off in the distance as you make your way down the river, but it's still pretty visible. It's a very large fire glow.
Fur finishes his carving and stands up and looks down at the man and offers a hand to him to help him stand.
Takes it, and you can see like tears have started to streak down his face as he pulls his hands away, and he pulls himself up. Sorry, I'm getting emotional.
Quinn hoists herself up. She is very short.
Compared to these two guys, Quinn you're about a foot under both of them. He's about your height as well. Sure. This is a very large man. His hands are calloused and very, very coarse. As from what Ethan told you, he was the one that primarily worked out in the forest, swinging the axes, working with the men, cutting down the trees and such. Very worked and heavy, calloused hands. He helps himself up. Just thank you for listening.
For kind of with his arm still kind of clutching his, guides him over to the edge of the boat. You said, but there's clouds kind of coming in the distance. So they're coming eastwards. So they're coming towards you, like you're heading west, and they're coming east across the river. But there are still a few stars in the sky. You can see them well enough. And he looks out over the traveling like landscape and turns to the man and says, "What do you see?" And he kind of gestures off to the edge of the ship or the boat.
Land, hills, mountains.
How long do you think that's been there?
A long time, I presume. Many moons.
He nods. Just as the river continues to course its way through the mountain, just as the trees continue to blow in the wind, you shall continue to exist and move on until the time comes where you will no longer. But that doesn't mean the impact that you carry will not continue without you. Take your husband's memory. Carry it with you. It is now your charge. Make his death mean something. Do not despair. In time, you will join him. And that is not today.
Wise words, my friend. You don't seem like the talker, I would say.
And he kind of takes the man's hand, places the totem in it, curls his hand like over it in a fist, drops it and nods, and walks away, leaving him with Quinn.
He just holds it in his hand and he's looking at it. He opens his palm up and just looks at it in the palm. More tears start to streak down his face. You can see him just like touching it.
It's a symbol of strength.
Yes. He's just kind of running his fingers down the coils of it to the base.
I have to admit, I don't feel like I'm very good at comforting in situations like this. I've lost everything, as you have. And I know how hard it is. So I can't tell you it's going to be okay, because I don't think it is for me either. But what matters is finding that inner strength and finding what compels you to move forward in the face of it. And for everyone, that's different. So I hope that this can encourage you to find that next step and find what compels you to move forward with his memory.
As you're saying this, he slowly closes his fist and clutches it in his hand. You can see some of the red and the strain build up in his hands. Yes.
Don't let it be for nothing. I know how easy it feels to end it all, or to run away, or to cry until it feels like you can't anymore. But don't quit. Not until this is over. This will not have been for nothing. There will always be something else.
He shakes his head. He takes a deep breath. He wipes some more tears out of his eyes. Ethan would have liked you. Bunch of fucking smart people. He chuckles to himself. And
That's flattering, but
puts his hand on your shoulder and just looks in your eyes. Thank you. And he lets go and walks past you up towards where Endorin is, towards the back of the ship.
she turns to watch him and sees probably Esmenee, Lyra, and Aramin and goes, "And what help were you?"
Just like sticking their heads out from the side of the log.
Deal well with other people's emotions. I barely deal well with mine.
Do you think I do?
They're off
Thanks,
having this conversation, Peren. Your mom kind of sits back and you can see her. She opens her eyes up. She turns her head and looks at you. So how have you been?
She's still sitting on the ground, right?
This gonna be good.
All right.
So
He
better
sits
question.
down
Whenever she's
right across from her. She's looking at me, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "I don't care that you never came back. I really don't. I just want you to know what it did to Dad. I survived. I'm fine. He's not fine. It destroyed him. He turned into a callous, mean, horrible man that ruined the last 10 years of my life. But it's the reason I left. And if you didn't leave, I probably would still be there, in that town, in that church, doing exactly what he wanted me to do. So I have to thank you for that. You abandoned me, and it sucked. But I got over it. But Dad didn't, and I just needed you to know that."
Yes, I never expected your father to get over it, exactly. But I hoped that our Lord Tyr would have told him something. I didn't tell anybody when I left. I never even told anybody the reason I left. All is as he guides it. Your father has always been kind of uptight, and kind of a prude. But didn't want to leave. There was many sleepless nights before my venture out, and I was obsessed for some reason. I don't know why. I had to leave because I knew if I stayed, I would be driven mad. Visions, obviously from Tyr, that this blue crystal.
What crystal?
It was just in my dreams, and I never found it. I assume I got this from it. She gestures to her arm, which you can see is now even more burnt and scarred than it was before, but the remnants of the dragon fire are still, of it crawling up her arm are still there. I didn't want to leave. I was very happy with your father, but like I said, I knew if I didn't, it would have been even worse than it was for you. This gem I still see in my dreams. I see
You
myself.
left us for a rock? Your child. You know that, right?
Yes. I know it sounds wrong, and it is wrong to an extent, but what I could hear in my head the whole time, every dream, every waking moment that I wasn't actively doing something, I was thinking about this, set in some sort of amulet. It's dark and blue, and every time I saw it in my dreams, I could just see myself with a necklace around my neck and a mirror or a thing of water. I was obsessed. Taking this has helped to an extent, but it's become difficult. And this name just repeated in my head. Adranis. Every time I saw myself looking at it, I would say that name.
Can we overhear this conversation at all?
Make a perception check for me.
Okay, so 23.
You do hear most of this conversation. You hear bits and pieces, but it's hard to split your focus between the two conversations that are happening. Did you want to do something based off the perception check?
Do I know what that name is?
You can make a...
I was gonna say, I don't really, have a whole lot of,
You can make a history check.
Okay, 15.
15. Doesn't ring a bell.
Okay.
She sighs, and you can see she's visibly disappointed in herself because of this. It isn't something that she's like, well, this is a fucking rock.
Only I can.
She is visibly disappointed in herself.
He says, well, I'm glad it was worth it.
Wow.
I don't have it.
I'm glad it wasn't worth it then. You know what? I'm glad it wasn't worth it.
Honestly, Mom.
I'm not mad. I'm over it. Thanks for the axe. I mean, you left so long ago that I thought you were dead for so long. I mean, we can be teammates, fight by your side. But we're on a mission, and we're here for that mission. And I mean, I don't really know what else to say to you. Good luck with your rock. That's it. And then he walks away.
She's kind of sets her head down and just she just looks down. Okay. Is there anything else you guys like to do tonight?
I kind of want to talk to Lyra
Go ahead.
about General Waller. So after Mark walks back to be on the helm of the ship,
And Lyra awkwardly walks away from that conversation she saw but had no part in.
Quinn kind of goes from that conversation and sees Lyra and kind of steps toward her. So, Waller.
Esmenee just hears you say Waller and immediately just runs up and just sits down and is just
You seem to have history with him because he sure seemed to know you.
sorcery. That is one way to put it.
You don't have to share if you don't want to.
He
I just
killed my parents for the simple crime that I have magic.
Well, then I suppose we have that in common because he killed my parents in the same way.
Didn't know they knew I had magic until they were already dead. So that's...
You didn't share it with them? Well, I mean, obviously they probably wouldn't have supported you. I'm sorry, that was insensitive.
No, they turned me in. They communicated with him. They kept him updated on my progress, and so I left.
Did you knew about that?
Can you
I mean, this is just assuming that
make
the letters are correct.
make a investigation check for me on those letters?
I don't know what that is, but it doesn't look good.
It's a 7 plus something.
It says that's a 9.
A 9. It's hard for you to tell. It's been a long time. It doesn't seem like your father's handwriting. Kind of looks like your mother's handwriting.
They wrote letters. And she just kind of like
Sorry.
reaches into a small pocket on her cloak on the inside. And she just pulls out the letters and sort of just kind of hands them over to you.
Where did these come from?
Some fevered dream. I don't know.
Essentially.
Okay. And she kind of, like, I've already read it.
Yeah.
But she kind of skims them. She, like, gets through 2 of them and hands them back. Like, she gets it. And just kind of shakes her head. That's
I don't know what
That's
he wants
messed
with
up.
me.
probably the same thing he wants with every magic user, to find out where the resistance is or the rebellion or whatever it is and kill every magic user because he feels like it.
Sucks.
That's Esmenee. That's in character.
It's not like slightly on the other side of the boat. Because he sucks.
No,
No,
it's
she's
for
right.
sure.
She's just sitting on the ground.
She wanted the tea.
Right.
Writing this all down verbatim in
Yeah.
a new book.
You guys begin to hear the rumbling and the cracking of thunder grow a little bit louder. The storm seems to have made some progress, especially since you're heading its direction and it's heading your direction.
When did you meet Lucy? I'm just wondering.
Long time ago. Sort of felt like I knew her my whole life. She taught me when there was no one to teach me.
It's still strange, I guess.
Strange to me too.
Weird how time works when I guess you don't have any.
Any sense of it?
Yeah. I'm glad she was there for you.
I'm sorry she wasn't there for you.
I mean, just because the Feywilds are gone doesn't mean the Fey are. But who's to say if they're going to think that we had any part in what happened and just attack us next time we find them? I don't know if I'll ever see her again. Which isn't great, but I had already come to terms with losing her a long time ago. So this doesn't change anything. In a way, I guess she gave both of us our magic. And I guess in a way, Waller wants to take both of ours away. So, I guess we both need to kill him.
I think you're right.
Maybe we should figure out what to do about that storm.
Yes. We are heading straight into it, and I do not know how to steer a boat.
Yeah. So, like, I guess as the rest of them group together, she kind of looks back to them and then looks back to Lyra and says, thanks for, I don't know.
For what it's worth, I know you came to terms with her death. You didn't come to terms with her betrayal. She gave me a family when I didn't have one, so by extension she gave me you. We've lost what family we had. I'd be happy to make a new one with you.
Quinn just kind of, like, stares at Lyra like she's, like, processing it. I appreciate that.
Yes.
Oh, the good shit.
See, that's
Alright.
like great.
Arna comes right in between
Arthur
them.
hand.
Some
And I
animal
want the Peren goes right in between. He puts one hand. He's like, That was nice. I need to talk to you guys.
I can just imagine Peren's like angry in the corner, like next to the between the ramp and where the hang is. He's like, stupid mom. I can't. Anyways, what would Peren like to do?
All right. I want to get like the group. I want to walk over and be like, "Can y'all come over here?"
Hello.
Your mom's asleep, passed out. You can hear her
I
snoring.
don't care what
She's like slumped over a little bit more.
Yeah, let's
So, my mom mentioned something interesting. She said she's been having dreams of a blue amulet. An amulet of someone named Adronis.
Cool.
Is this another amulet that we need to worry about?
Is there another?
I'm not worrying about her weird rock dreams. I just wanted to know if maybe you guys sounded familiar.
You get if anybody is proficient in history, you can make a history check.
Nope.
Other than Quinn, you can make one as well.
What is it?
I can make one.
You can make one.
A history check?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've already made one.
Yeah, you already did.
So.
Oh, that's an 18.
That'll be 21.
21. Nice.
15.
15. You've not really heard of Adronis. Same as Lyra. It sounds vaguely familiar. You just have no idea what the name means. What did you roll?
18.
18. You rolled a 21. With your 18, you have heard of the name, and it kind of rings the bell. Just rings a bell a little bit, and you remember in your very short time in the libraries of the Disciples of Maestra reading that name somewhere. Aramin. Coming from more of a rural background, it is hard to kind of come of this knowledge, but you are well read, well learned, and you know Adronis as an old god, referred to as the Laughing God.
Yep.
And he is the Lord of the Demon Lords, God of the Demon Lords.
Adronis?
Okay.
I don't know why that sounds familiar.
Fur in the background. I've never heard of him.
The god?
He's an old laughing god.
Alright.
old laughing god.
He's a god who
Referred
laughs a
to
lot.
as the Laughing God.
Alright.
He's actually very bitter all the time. Has never laughed.
Never laughed at
It's ironically.
The
Smiley
laughing
Joe,
god?
Do you know why he would call to someone?
With a rock?
You said it was an amulet or a rock?
It's an amulet
What are
With a
amulets
blue
if
gem
not
stone
fancy rocks?
in it.
Well,
Yeah. It's a
the
rock on a
demon
string.
lord
Yeah.
in the amulet.
What's with
Rocks
all the
covered by
demons
ceramic.
in
I'm not
amulets?
really super into another
That's where they like to
amulet.
party.
Can
I
you
don't
check
know.
for me?
It's
But-
because he's probably
make another one.
lord of all the demon lords.
I have to make another history check.
With advantage.
Oh, good. Thank
Like-
God. That's an 11.
11.
Advantage?
The first one was a 2.
You
Do double advantage, try again. Try
You-
again 3 more times.
vaguely remembers
I can take it
something
17.
about the founders of the Disciples of Maestra. They had some sort of relation with demon lords, but that's all you know.
The only thing I can think of is that he had something to do with the disciples, and I don't know how. But I also don't know why he'd be calling out to somebody.
Well, hopefully that doesn't bite us in the ass.
Well, if he
Sure it
possessed
will.
an amulet, like the last god, maybe he's just looking for a new host.
Well, we'll keep him far away from this amulet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lord of Demons coming back would not be great.
It wouldn't. Should we just like...
Well, she's been looking for it for
I was
10
saying, I
years.
have
She
a-
hasn't found it.
So, is that like a good thing or a bad thing, or
I'm thinking good.
It's anything.
Because apparently
Who says we want to find this
that's a
thing?
demon god.
okay?
So if she can't find it, that's better for
If
us.
we do find
Is
it,
it
the first thing we
resistant
should
to
do
the
is throw it
rebellion?
straight to a river.
Rebellion.
No one can ever see it again.
Well, she came in and she saved us with the rebellion. She's part of the rebellion.
But why?
Apparently, we're part of the
Why did the
rebellion.
rebellion?
I
say-
guess.
So I think maybe we should trust what she has to say.
For now.
I certainly can't trust the disciples if they're after this for whatever reason.
She's got some sick scars. I trust her.
Would
Lyra's just gonna
it
kind of casually
make sense for me to make the connection between the disciples are looking for this amulet and we're looking for a gemstone that goes inside an amulet that has to do with a demon lord?
Yeah, you'd be able to make that.
Cool.
I think that's a pretty simple connection. Quinn's not an idiot.
So Quinn says something about whatever I just said about the disciples are looking for this, and then like has a light bulb moment. You said she's looking for an amulet with a gemstone?
Yeah, with a demon lord inside of it. Sound
Cool,
familiar?
because we're also looking for the rest of this amulet. And the gemstone that goes inside of it, which apparently belongs...
That's what we're trying to do.
Which apparently the disciples are looking for. And the disciples
Everybody
were...
wants a demon lord.
You would know that the gemstone specifically, Jack would have told you it was a green gemstone that you're looking for. The amulet that you remember from the necklace, if it is similar to the one that your mom's talking about, was about this big. It's a pretty big gemstone inside of it. Your gemstone's about golf ball sized.
Well,
I was gonna say the one that I had was red, also, right?
I mean... Gemstone. What color?
Blue.
Okay, never mind.
Okay, well, now we've got two things to find.
So
Now we
there's...
have to worry about his
Gotta
demon
find
gems.
all the gemstones.
Well, I thought I had it, but never mind.
Well, if the disciples are looking for it, it obviously can't be something good.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Oh.
The thunder is, like, the clouds are literally there. You can start to see, like,
It's
the
like-
wall of rain.
Quinn looks lost. So,
Well, I didn't mean to bother you all with that.
I
But
mean, you
thought
don't
it
have
was
to apologize.
interesting,
We're all pretty much
figured we should all know
stuck
about it.
together.
We got, we all got matching tattoos, guys!
It's still, like, right from the heat and the branding.
Ow.
It's, like,
Wait.
blistering.
Hang on, like, so did they like do that to us? We were conscious. That sucks. You also
Yeah.
didn't tell us.
I didn't.
that.
I forgot about it.
Yeah. Oh well.
Just one of those things, branding your players. Sometimes you just forget about it. And
Slips the mind.
just slip.
Yeah.
So does it just look like a really shitty cover up?
And,
Very thorough, though.
yeah,
my first
it
tattoo,
has
like-
burnt away all of that tattoo. Like it is all that skin is blistering and like popping. It is not a great time to
Is
touch
there
your left arm.
is there anything we can do to like stop heal
You
that?
can cure wounds. Armin's it's decently healed. You didn't have the tattoo before. It's decently healed, but you still have the
Did we
scar.
take hit?
It's a brand, right?
It's
not
brand.
a tattoo.
Yeah,
So it's just scarred tissue.
yeah. It's scar tissue in the shape.
The Scar Squad.
I just now I'm just headcanon like that every bit of conversation, everyone's just been trying to distract themselves for how much this sucks.
You can see Endorin at the helm. He has like a long cloak that he's pulled up, and he has the hood up, and he's still just like staring off. He's humming to himself. Mark is kind of standing next to him. He's like leaning over on the railing, just kind of looking off pensively towards the storm as it slowly begins to approach you guys.
Quinn looks and then pulls her own hood up over her hair. And then she realizes her hair's gone and then pulls it up farther. I mean, it's just like short blonde hair with blood on it.
Yikes.
Dramatic
Blood,
character choice.
blood knife. Actually,
It was a
maybe-
blood knife.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was, there's just blood dried
Armin's
in her
blood.
hair.
Ew.
We need to
This is
figure
ridiculous.
out where we're safest on this barge with the storm rolling in.
Storm's here. It's pouring.
It's here.
I forgot.
Actually,
There's no cover. Right?
There's no cover.
Quinn has her
Literally
hood
just
up,
like a wood raft.
and then she puts her hood down so she can scrub her hair.
Yeah.
You can see like the blood is like sliding down your front.
And then she puts
It's
her
like
hood back
washing
in.
out. There is a enormous lightning strike.
Yay.
It shakes the entire boat, and like you're blinded for a second, and time stops. Peren, you watch this, and the rain like slows. You can still see like the crackle of lightning through the clouds in the sky above you, and there is a voice. Hello, Peren. And
Sir.
You.
Your Majesty.
I don't know where to look. He's like
My
looking
God.
at, he's like looking at the lightning. He's like looking in the air. He's like,
You turn around, and before you is essentially Henry Cavill. Very short cut, black hair. His eyes are like bronze with flecks of gold on the inside of them. He's wearing full clad, just straight metal armor. It's embroidered with gold and bronze. The symbol of his gauntlet is right in the center of his chest. And you notice, if you look to his right arm, his gauntlet is not there. It's just bare arm. He has a large greatsword at his side, and on his back he has a big tower shield that's just strapped. How have you been?
Get on my knees.
Get up. Stop it.
Yes, sir. And he stands up like that.
He turns and he just he turns around and looks over his shoulder and says, "Follow me." And he walks around the logs to the front of the ship and stands kind of open-faced on the left-hand side, with his arm resting on the railing. He's looking out, stares.
Kind of stands next to him, shoulder to shoulder.
There's a lot of turmoil in you, isn't there?
I mean, I got a lot going on. I'm pretty much stuck.
Yeah, we all do. He looks over to your mom, who's just slumped. She's out. The rain, she's coating her. She's not even waking up from the rain. You can see blood seeping out of her armor and just soaking into the wood on the ground.
Peren's, he doesn't enjoy that. He's kind of sad about seeing her like that.
She's seen better days, that's for sure.
I wouldn't know, but I'm sure she has.
My child, I do not come to you in convenience. He looks down.
Why are you here?
You, unfortunately, are one of my last dedicated followers. War is stirring up around the Empire, and people are destroying my temples, statues, every symbol they can have to me. Being a god of war, my reputation is not the best in wartime. And I can only do so much.
Why would they do that? You're a good god.
I'm a god of war. People do not want war.
Everywhere. War is necessary.
But it is something that strikes fear into many people. Not enough are brave enough to see what positive outcomes may lie ahead. War is frightening, and people cannot see past that. People cannot see what evils this war is going to extinguish, and what evils it may bring to light.
What do you mean? What can I do?
Continue your journey. Praise me as you have, and rekindle people's faith in me. He looks down to your belt, and he can see the battle axe sitting down. Your weapon, can I see it?
Yeah.
Looks at his symbol on it, smiles, and he turns to Tyr's symbol. It's funny that you follow both. He looks at it again, and his hands begin to glow, like just a soft white light. With this axe, you carry my legacy. And the axe itself begins to glow, a soft, faint, warm light. Continue your journey, as you have. And he hands it back to you. You grab it, and it's warm.
No.
It's decently warmed, and you look at it, and it kind of covers your vision for a second. And you look back down, and he's gone. And the rain starts to pour back down onto you. Your battle axe is now magical, and is considered magical in all attacks.
Yay!
It is blessed by Torm.
Whoever holds this hammer shall possess the power of Thor.
And you are just standing out in the soaking rain. You guys...
Just cover.
Did I move?
Yeah, you moved.
I
You're at the front of the ship
physically
now.
did
You're at the
Okay.
front of the ship now. You guys... No time passed. You blinked from the lightning strike, and Peren is gone.
Peren? The lightning got him!
I'm waiting for one of you to notice me.
Over there.
Someone call my name. Okay.
Fucking Peren! He's right there, idiot.
He's holding it. He turns around, his face is just like,
Hello?
guys, good dude! And then he just turns around so slow. He's like,
with the rain hitting it, there's like steam starting to emanate off of the.
And he just goes,
axe itself.
Peren,
guys! And he runs like all the way down. Torm spoke to me.
Was that right now?
what is that?
He froze
Was
the
he the
rain.
lightning?
He
spoke
most
to me.
certainly didn't freeze the rain, but you teleported.
Touch my axe.
Quinn doesn't touch it.
Esmenee does.
From everyone else's perspective, it does look like Peren's axe was struck by lightning and he
And now
was sent across the boat. Like, that's kind of
now
what you put together.
Esmenee's holding it.
And now it's like another lightning bolt. Now hits really closely.
Okay.
You're not worthy.
And he grabs the back.
Thor said no, and so did
And he
Thor.
hangs it so carefully
Too
at
heavy
his
to
belt.
drop it.
Well, that's great. That's really great. I'm wet.
Yeah, we're all wet.
Did he tell you anything useful? Just some personal stuff. Just like
Anything about... And Quinn points at Kara just laying there.
just like she's alright. She's fine.
Anything about this amulet?
No, he's not really
You also didn't ask.
helpful kind of
Well, we don't know that.
There's a lot going on.
Standing in the rain, you are all soaked.
Yes, we've already covered.
What would you guys like to do?
Be not soaked.
I mean, there's nowhere to
I've
go,
already
right?
asked.
How would you like to do that?
I'd like to cast.
I would like to cast fireball and
Spare
set
the
myself
dying
on
on
fire.
myself.
I would like to cast magic.
I would like to cast Thunder Wave at the clouds so they go away.
Oh my god.
I don't think.
Thunder Wave has that range.
It could.
Also, wouldn't it just make them
I
stronger?
believe.
Wait.
Fur is sitting in the corner. He doesn't have a fur to cover his head, so he's just wet.
Aww. Wet fur. It's
And he's
sad.
he's standing there like holding a small
drowned kid.
like chip of wood, and his knife. Wet wood is slippery.
Oh.
Makes for bad carving. And he kind of pitches the wood over, and you hear this soft little plunk of it hitting the
Things off the side.
river.
I feel like that sometimes.
Well,
He sheathes his knife angrily and just kind of. He's just absolutely pouting at this point. He's not happy.
Just so pissed off.
Quinn like takes a step over and like reaches up to pat his shoulder.
It's the closest to him she can
Not that high, but you know. And then
Only hits middle back.
tap. She's not a fucking gnome.
That fur's just very tall.
So this Keebler elf walks over. He just kind of acknowledges her and nods.
So
We're just on a boat, you know? There's just water everywhere.
Did your mother happen to say where we were going?
She did. She said Valerie. Valerie. She said it before the end of last session.
She said Valerie.
down the Islingmiota
Down the river.
until we get.
She said it was only like a day journey, right?
Yeah, a little over a day. Day and a half.
How long is it?
You guys have been going for about 15 minutes now. A lot of these conversations are happening simultaneously.
Gosh.
Did anybody on this boat before we left say at least it can't get any worse?
Well, you just
Admittedly,
did
that's
now.
a joke I really wanted to make earlier.
This bitch.
Y'all wait. Because after what Torm said, y'all are getting converted. So just wait.
What exactly?
Till we're
did
out of the
Torm say?
rain.
Alright, do you have enough pamphlets? Are they all laminated?
They're all wet.
Did he give me more pamphlets?
I thought they were laminated.
All your pamphlets are gone.
No, they took them all.
They took them all.
And they took all my stuff,
You
remember?
gotta make new ones.
New and improved.
You'll draw
I
them
have
yourself.
to write them all.
So you guys gonna take a long rest?
Yeah.
How are we arranging for the night, and who is taking watch? If anyone is
Lyra
taking
is
watch.
curling up in the
on
corner
a
of
river.
the raft under her cloak. It's very wet, but it's better than getting rained
I
on.
remember the last time this
How is
happened.
Esmenee curling up?
She's just gonna kind of like lay on the ground, just like splayed out. In true
Starfish.
form.
Yeah, you're in your. How is Fur?
If he ends up falling asleep, he probably won't. He's just gonna continue to be in his little like huddled ball on like along the edge of the boat.
He's like an angry wet kitten.
He is. He's
Aw.
not
How's
happy.
Aramin?
Boy.
Aramin is
He's a grumpy
going
boy.
to be at least watching to begin with, but he's going to go up to the helm.
Okay. You're gonna do first watch then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Peren, how you cuddling up?
He's next to his mom. He plopped down next to her. He's just like kind of admiring the axe until eventually he
Just snuggles
falls
it.
asleep.
How's Quinn?
Quinn's just gonna sit on the edge of the barge somewhere where, I mean, probably near somebody, but not close enough that she feels obligated to talk to them the whole time. And just has her cloak over her head. It's like ripped in the back, so she's still all wet. But she just has her knees to her chest and is kind of trying to cover her face as much as she can.
Aramin, can you make a perception check for me?
Is it cold?
19.
It's freezing. It's about the end of fall right now, so it's pretty cold.
Fuck.
Quinn is gonna, while she's like covered up like this, hold her rock in her hands toward her
One
head.
stone. With your 19, standing at the helm, Endorin's pretty quiet. He's occasionally humming to himself. And you, looking around, looking at the hills to the left of you, the forest to the left of you because you're right there, and the hills to the right, off in the mountain, really closely down the river, and you see nothing. Who's taking the second watch?
I'll take it.
Okay.
You'll take it?
Can Quinn and
Do you
Lyra
make
both
a-
take it?
Yeah, go ahead. You guys go ahead and make a perception check for me.
Do you want
So
two
one-
perception checks, or do you want me to help?
Yeah, do you want to help? It's up to you guys. So someone can do it with advantage, or you guys can make separate ones.
Oh, we can make separate ones because we're both watching.
And not 20.
Natural 20.
Wow.
Nice.
Oh, okay. Well, that didn't. I mean, that's an
What
11.
do your elf eyes see?
Dark vision.
Good thing you got dark vision.
It's
I think Quinn just got sick of, like being alone and saw Lyra getting up to take next watch and just kind of did as well. But they aren't really. At least Quinn isn't really talking. Just kind of hanging out.
Companionable seconds.
looking around.
Yes.
It's really hard to see, even with your natural 20. The rain is coming down pretty hard. Quinn, it is very hard to see. Being a human, it's very difficult.
It's companionable silence.
Yeah. Lyra,
She's doing the watching.
it's pretty uneventful. There isn't too much changing with the landscape, the forest, the hills, the mountains. You can see some off in the distance, but the rain it's raining very hard, so it is small glimpses of it. Okay, who's gonna take the third watch?
Fur will take that third watch.
Okay, go ahead and roll perception check for me.
Wow, what a time. That is 24.
24.
Oh, shit.
You guys are rolling really high.
Yeah, fam. Got that proficiency.
You stand. Where would Fur be looking around, keeping watch?
So he would have gotten up. He'd probably be on the at the front, kind of watching as the river's coming towards the boat.
Mm-hmm.
So he'd be towards the end of the bow.
You just looking around, watching the landscape slowly morph and change around you. The hills on your right becoming a little bit more flat. The water is kind of dispersing weirdly there, creating these large, like, tide pools, essentially, in the bank. On the left, you can, even in just the about 2 hours that you're watching, the world slowly goes from forest to open plains to forest, and slowly making that change. You can see a few carts on your left slowly making their way either towards what was Ochana or the opposite direction. Lyra, as your watch comes to an end, there's a flash of lightning. You close your eyes. And there's another flash of lightning, all of a sudden, very close to you. It fills your ears, and you open your eyes, and you are standing in a field. It's about chest-high grass. Your fur is matted and soaking wet. You cannot think, you cannot feel anything but hunger. Your allies stand next to you, snarling, rusted and corroded weapons in their hands, large, gnollless faces, curling, snarling, teeth exposed. You look to the sky and a low growling noise leaves your mouth that you are unfamiliar with in your elvish state, but you know it means attack. You and your pack begin to charge towards your meal, but not to eat. No, your lord has much bigger plans than that. Looking up from your charge, looking at the ground as you charge on all fours, you can see 7 jagged stones set in a large circle. And the image of your target fills your mind. It's a golden chain necklace with a red gem.
He's fucking back!
Boy!
Was that a dream?
You open your eyes and it is daylight, and immediately you sit up and yell Adronis.
Did that wake us up?
Some of you. Most of you, Lyra took a watch. You would have already been awake, Peren. Aramin would have already been awake. And Esmenee would have been awake, because you guys didn't take watches.
Yeah.
What would you guys like to do?
I want to run over. Are you okay?
You do recognize those 7 jagged stones in a circle as the Islingmiota holy site.
Yeah, so Lyra is sort of very visibly shaken. She kind of just looks down at her hands to verify that she's,
Yeah,
a
Pren's like
person.
right there. He's like got his hand, I don't know, out.
Quinn stands up and is looking over, very confused. Are you okay?
I think so. I have the strangest dream.
About Adronis?
Think so?
Did you see them?
No. I was a gnoll. I think. I was with gnolls and we were hunting these stones, these rocks.
It was
all
just
very
Knowles? Do you know where you were?
here. Islingmiota, the holy site. That's where we were going. That's what we were headed towards. I recognized it.
That's weirdly specific.
It gives us a location.
Of what?
There was
Of
an
a fight.
amulet.
The same amulet?
The blue one?
A red one.
Same one you had
The
earlier.
red one?
It looked familiar.
It was the same one.
Didn't we destroy it? Do we still have it?
No, we destroyed it.
Jerome took it. He has the remains.
Yeah, didn't you take it to study it?
Yeah.
Or he's just.
Is there more than one?
We're not going back for it. You just hear it in the background.
I'd say you guys, on the... Can you ever make a perception check for me? Except for you two, because you're having this conversation.
16.
21.
Was it perception?
Yeah.
10.
Your voice is rolling.
10. So, Peren and Fur, you guys actually see the holy site coming down the river
Oh.
on your left.
Oh no.
Wait, the holy
So much faster than I thought.
Yeah, it's the Islingmiota holy site.
Love that.
With your 21, since you rolled pretty high, you can... The center stone is black on top. It's got like a blackened center, and you can see some of it like start to spiral out towards the other sides, and that wasn't how it was when you guys left it.
His eyes narrow as he kind of pays attention.
Since you're awake, you notice that Endorin is no longer driving. It is Mark. They seem to have switched, and
Mark.
Endorin is asleep at the helm of the boat. He has his cloak pulled over his face.
Is there anyone physically near me that I can call over?
Physically near you? It's up to you guys. Where would you guys be at this time?
Kind of near the middle
I'm
of the ship.
where
I was gonna say Peren's kind of involved in like
Yeah, Peren's like right next to
chiming
me.
in questions.
Right,
Yeah,
right
we're
over.
3 together.
You'd probably have to run over and get somebody. Cause Esmenee, you're probably in the center, right, with everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you were sprawled out.
Yeah. Just fucking.
Is she still sprawled out on the ground?
She's just kind of sitting on the ground now. Just
Can I roll a strength check?
Y'all
what?
fucking woke me up.
To go
Haven't even had
grab
my coffee.
Esmenee and drag her over to the edge of the boat.
How big is Esmenee?
she's
Tall.
5'7".
5'7".
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That she was big.
almost a foot under for which is
That
saying
is
something.
a 21.
21, very easily. Like,
Are we going somewhere?
He walks over, kind of like picks her up, throws her over his shoulder, walks
Back
over,
to bed.
and points out to the stone.
turn around because she's on your back.
What a.
Make a perception
I'm
check
still
for me.
trying to make a case for her weird ass dream.
Yeah, I'm very interested.
I know we destroyed it.
Does she
14 bad feeling.
Sorry.
14.
14. With Fur pointing it out, you can see that cracked stone in the center. There is nobody there. You cannot see Jerome, but that's
Are
all you
we
can see.
passing it?
It's coming up.
Okay.
So you've probably got about 400 feet. You're not moving super fast.
He,
Will Lyra recognize like where they're at in the forest to be able to be like, it's around this area, or does it all just look like trees?
Islingmiota is surrounded by a large field with that tall grass that you saw in your dream. Yeah.
He puts her down and just kind of like looks out and goes, "Where's the chatty scholar?"
It's not there.
I don't like it.
So where did you say? You said you were near here.
I was here. I was
You were asleep?
the holy site. I wasn't. No, I was not asleep. There was a call to attack, and we
she
headed
was
towards
asleep,
it. And
like
But it was a dream.
It was a dream.
More specifically, you called to attack. You were the leader.
there was a call to attack. I think I called it.
So
Attack
you
what?
dreamed that you were a gnoll. I mean, it sounds like a dream to me. It
I
makes
know
sense
we
considering.
destroyed it, and I know that
So
the
there shouldn't
scholar
be
took it to
anything to-
study it, but there's something wrong.
I mean,
And with Fur pointing it out, very obviously carrying Esmenee, you guys can see the large 7 craggly and jagged stones in this circle. The stones themselves are about 30 feet high, so you can very clearly see the site, and then you're coming up on it, especially with Fur pointing it out. Everybody kind of gets a glimpse. It's like, oh shit, we're here. I'd say now you're moving at about 10 miles an hour. It's coming up close. You're within about 150 feet.
so there. Well,
You guys can begin to see as you're getting considerably closer. We're going to still carry over your 21, and Peren, you can kind of see this as well. Not only is the center stone, you guys see the center stone and how broken it is. You guys, Peren and Fur, and probably Esmenee, because Fur will be pointing it out to you. There are black scorch marks on the ground going all the way up towards those large stones. And it looks like electricity has shot all the way up those stones.
would it make you feel better if we stopped to check it out?
I think we need to.
Yeah,
Why?
it doesn't look great.
Especially with
On the
this
off
stream.
chance-
We need to make sure that that's destroyed. We can't risk letting that amulet get out again.
What is
Especially if she's getting
What is
all.
with the amulets? There's so many amulets.
At this point, Fur has already started making his way back towards the helm to go speak. Who's currently?
It's Mark driving right now.
And he goes over to Mark and places a hand on his shoulder and says, "Would it be an inconvenience to stop?"
Nope. And he swings the wheel. Brrr, and you guys immediately
Like, I need some adventure.
and like dragging against the ground. And you guys like screech to a stall.
Are you still hearing me as you say that?
Can everybody make a dexterity saving throw for me, please?
No, I put you down
Okay.
at that point. He
LOL.
22.
Oh, please.
I got a nat 1.
It's a 2.
A 9. So
Right over
Peren,
the edge.
Esmenee, and Aramin,
It's a 16.
you guys hit. You're fine with the 16. Hit and just immediately go flying like 15 feet forwards because you just stop. Lyra,
Mark.
you're kind of at the front, so you can see this happening, so you're able to brace yourself. Lyra and Quinn, like you guys, like we're turning very fast. Oh shit! And are able to hold on to something, but you guys don't really catch on. You go flying like 15
Just
feet.
face
Peren, you almost go like over the side of the
It's like halfway
railing.
off.
Kara catches you by the back, and she's
Like a kid.
she's like holding you by like the scruff of your arm. She's like
some of
puts you back down.
some of Fur's hair has like flown like in front of his eyes, and he just kind of goes, "Thank you."
But Kara's like, what is going on?
Adronis.
Thank you for saying the name I've been hearing in my head for the past 10 years. It's not PTSD or anything. Why are we stopped?
Because he's not just in your head anymore.
Well, that's not great.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Lyra's very tired of having stupid people in her head.
And stupid people on her boat.
Yes.
And stupid people in her
This
past.
is Lyra's boat.
It
She
still
owns
doesn't explain why we're stopped. What?
Lyra had a dream. It had an amulet in it and some gnolls, and there's more amulets, and we need to see what's going on because Lyra
This
wants.
is your PTSD. This is mine.
Gotcha. All right. Y'all mind if I stay here?
Oh,
Alright.
yeah.
Have your best
You
life.
heal
Fine.
up. You take a relax.
I'm good.
Time.
I'm good. And she like stands all the way up and starts wobbling. I'm alright.
Yeah, you try.
Peren puts his hand on his
prove
shoulder
points.
and he
You
kind of
can-
like
you can
pushes her
stay
down.
here.
So she sits down. He's like, stay here.
Endorin kind of comes down and says, "Oh, everybody." He has a big ramp in his arms that was at the top, and he slings it onto the railing and pushes it down. It's kind of like a landing thing. He says, "All right, come on down."
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We'll be back soon. Hopefully, please don't leave without us.
I
If
won't.
we're not,
Don't worry.
things have a tendency to change.
I can protect myself. And he grabs the huge chain with a large spike and holds it over his head and just fucking spikes it into the sand. I rolled a 19 plus 5. Spikes it in there, and he's like, "We're not going anywhere. This is a very taut chain. So, go ahead."
Thank you.
He's like still wiping the sleep out of his eyes.
Everyone have weapons? Everyone ready?
pick myself
I
up
got
off the
a
ground.
weapon, singular.
With all your hit
because
points
my
now?
spear's hecking gone.
I don't have a shield.
I'm really
Sorry.
mad about it. This is my third spear.
So you guys heading down to the holy city?
Maybe God said you don't get a spear.
Let's go.
It's not the right weapon for you.
The holy site's actually really close to you guys. It's kind of a beachy kind of thing. It's about 5-10 minute walk. The grass is decently high, like moths and butterflies are like flying around. Grasshoppers are kicking up as you're walking through this high grass. You do leave a decent trail, especially with fur. Just a wide person in general, matting down that tall grass.
Quinn remembers her horse and gets sad.
Oh no! Where is he?
You guys left him in Ochana.
He's dead now.
Did he ever actually exist?
He had his heart stolen
Yeah,
or whatever.
He did. He was still breathing. He was
It's
magic.
fine.
And then he probably maybe he's alive somewhere.
He's alive forever now.
Jax
a
was
zombie.
gonna take the horse,
He's a
right?
natural
And then
horse.
Jax died.
He doesn't have a heart. He's a zombie.
Zombie horse.
And you guys get to the holy site.
And Finnegan is there. He's alive.
He's not alive. Nor is he there.
Nor is he there.
The holy site is almost identical to how you left it. There are no papers. There are no books on this table. There is that large scorch mark in the center. Spreads and like spider webs all the way up to the sides. There's
Was
some on
that
the
there
ground.
last time?
It was not there last time.
Fuck.
And you guys are free to look around if you're looking around for specific things. Like, what are you looking for?
The amulet.
Yeah, the amulet.
Can I?
Okay, you guys can make investigation checks for me.
Yikes, stripes.
18,
8.
14.
14,
Quinn's looking for her horse.
14.
4, 14.
There's a really interesting blade of grass that furrows a big path. No, actually, it's a 3. Yeah,
Not better.
You said almost said a
Bonus.
1.
It
For
might
you're
as well
more
have been.
interested in how the lightning affected the stone on the side. You're like,
It's very aesthetically pleasing to you.
everybody else, you guys search through these large stone
Everyone
drawers
else, you guys are
that Jerome had beforehand, like searching through. There was nothing in there. It looks
Great.
like he has cleaned house. There are
Pretty
none of his
good.
papers. There is not even an
Took
ink
the
spell.
fucking amulet and yeeted himself away.
Go
Do you think
on,
he's
take
back
the
up
amulet
What did you
back.
roll?
8.
18, 8,
14.
14. With my 14s, you guys are looking through these drawers, and your attention kind of gets pulled away to some of the stone on the ground. You can see that there are like scratch marks in the stone that are pretty fresh. There's no like dirt or anything caked into it like the rest of the breaks in the ground are. Lyra, you're looking
Panic forward.
and you kind of stop for a second, and you can hear just faint laughter
Oh,
in the back of your head. Just for a moment, and then it's gone.
I hate that.
It's the laughing god guy.
And then you're kind of drawn away from the center of it. You go to the stone that is farthest away from the... So you go to the opposite side of the site. There's a large stone there. Something about the large stone in front of you is kind of compelling you to look at it, and you, as you're looking at it, you find a little 4 or 5 pieces of brown fur.
Interesting.
And there's a little smear of blood.
Send it to the lab.
Who's closest to me?
Closest to you, I would say Peren and Aramin are, because they kind of found those scratches and are investigating those scratches on the ground.
Okay. I'm gonna yell.
to try and get somebody's attention.
What?
Just kind of just loudly is just like, this wasn't a dream. And it just kind of like holds up the tiny bit of fur.
Peren runs over.
What are you talking about?
I dreamt that I was a gnoll. And
Yeah.
we came here
Yeah.
to find the amulet. And so we stopped. And I don't think it was a dream.
Why?
She just holds up this like
Bloody
gnoll fur.
You were on the ship, though. You weren't a gnoll.
Where did you see the amulet? You saw the amulet. Where was it?
Here. In the center of the site. Where we left it.
Maybe she was watching
She's not
from
there.
someone else's perspective.
No.
Did we ever see the amulet destroyed? Or did we just
Don't
believe
think we
him?
Yeah, we did.
Didn't we?
I saw
Yeah,
the amulet
okay.
destroyed.
Okay.
Yeah, when you saw it,
He
there
did
were.
like a spell.
Yeah, he did a spell, and you
We were
watched
all unconscious.
you watched everything like swirl into the dagger that he was stabbing it with, and then kind of almost like how a Pokeball, when you captured the thing, like clink, like it just flashes a little bit with like a bright light, and there was cracks all through the amulet. It looked effectively destroyed.
I couldn't have been there because I was on the boat and asleep.
If there's fur here, that must mean that there are gnolls nearby, which means we should probably leave.
Yeah. If that amulet is back together, we can't let it fall into the wrong hands. You saw what happened last time.
We all saw what happened last time, but we have no leads on where it is.
And I look behind the big rock with the blood and fur.
Look
See if there's like
behind
a trail. If there's signs of anything else.
Make it a.
I'm currently not a gnoll. Would I be able to sense the gnolls? I don't know what's going on now. Life was
You
weird.
make a survival check for me.
Okay.
Can you make a perception check?
I got a nat one.
It's a nice 18.
That one, 18. You focus for just a second, and you're just thinking and just listening to the blades of grass, like in the wind. It's kind of coursing through your ear. Who is with Lyra? You two are with Lyra. Can you guys make a perception check for me? I'll consider yours. What did you have?
A 1.
A 1? Yeah, you didn't see it.
I got a 12.
You had a 12. You're kind of looking at the stones on the ground. And you look up, and Lyra's a direwolf. And you look back down, you're like, wait a second, why is she direwolf? And then she's not.
What the fuck?
You use one of your wild shapes.
What?
Just mark one down for me.
Okay.
I just
Why?
was looking the other way. What happened?
Why were you a direwolf?
I was a what now?
You changed shapes. You were a direwolf.
Did she?
I didn't.
What are you talking about?
You guys, everybody else here is, I don't know, talking about this.
Did you?
You're still holding the fur, right?
Yeah.
Can you make a nature check for me, please?
7.
7. Never mind.
God damn it.
You're still just looking at that
It's
fur like,
fur.
man, this is really brown.
Looks brown.
It's so weird.
Okay, guys, I'm thinking it might be gnoll fur.
Weird idea.
Maybe.
Lyra, are you alright? Do you feel okay?
I feel fine.
Are you sure? Because you felt fine when you were possessed too.
I hate that. I just told you you're my adoptive sister, and this is how you treat me. This is how she treated her actual family too.
She says it how it is.
If anybody else would like to look at the fur, they can make a nature check.
I want to.
Fur.
One person at a time, please.
Okay.
First, looking at the fur.
You got a 19.
A 19.
Okay, well I'm gonna let him do that.
You have decent experience with gnoll fur.
And
Usually,
fur in general.
and just fur in general. Usually, gnoll fur is more like porcupine-esque. Like it's more springy than regular hair. This is definitely the hair of a direwolf.
Oh.
He kind of like runs it through his fingers, and then looks back over at Lyra, like eyes kind of narrowed, and he walks over and goes, "You, change shape. Do it."
Make an intimidation check for me.
Wow.
They're the same height, so.
Intimidation?
Yeah.
Oh, that is a whole 12.
12. He's fur. He's a pretty big guy.
Pretty big. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You're not like scared of him, but you're like, damn, dude. Like, shit.
You good?
You good?
Okay, sure. Why not? Wolf.
Lyra. I can't try so hard.
He reaches into his pouch, pulls out a small knife, and just slices a small little bit of fur off of like the tuft of her back, and like compares the two.
Make an investigation check for me.
Yikes. That was not great. That was a 10.
10. The fur that you pulled off of the stone and Lyra's fur are slightly different. The one you pulled off, it's a bit more springy than Lyra's. Lyra's is like actual hair, like fur. It just bends when you want. But the fur you pulled off is a little bit more springy. It's almost like a mix between the two, if you were to guess.
And he sheaths his knife, nods, and says, "Thank you for your cooperation." And then, like, because it was only a fucking 10, like an idiot, he just goes back off and kind of...
Do you care to
Both your
explain
wild
what you're
shapes.
doing?
They're not the same.
Okay.
Is it okay?
You stand back up.
Wild shape into
look.
a human.
Just for
Now
an instant.
she's a human.
Just for an instant, as she transforms and stands upright, seems a little bit off, and then back into an elf. Aramin, you would have definitely seen this with your previous check.
This is.
Is it gross?
Peren, you're still looking at the grass.
Oh.
What is going on with your wild?
Can I ask again, are you okay?
I feel fine.
I don't like being here. I don't like whatever this is.
Same.
And I don't like that we don't have the amulet and we don't know what's happening. So if we're going to look for it, we might as well get back on the boat.
If you guys want to make one more round of investigation checks, you can.
Oh, that's a nat 20, fam.
Natural 20. Wow.
Damn, okay.
And that,
Seven.
which gives me a 22.
22.
19.
13.
11.
Fur and Esmenee for sure.
That face.
Got a 7.
For as you're walking away, you're still focused, hyper focused on this hair in your hands. Like, you don't know what's going on. You kind of like stumble into a rock, and you see a marking that's odd. It looks similar to the like spider webbing of this like electric looking thing, but it is 3 claw marks into the rock. They're very close to the electricity, so it's decently hard to spot. Esmenee, looking at Lyra confused, like, what the heck is going on? Whatever. You turn around and you like stumble into the table that's there, and your hands catch the bottom of it. And there are 3 indentations, and you put your hands on 4 indentations in the bottom. Put your thumbs on the top, and there's 2 more holes. It's a little bit wider than you are. And the top ones, there's actually still some stone like stuck in top of it.
So there was something here. I don't know what. Something with claws that's like that big. I don't know what that was. I don't like it. Don't like it.
Fur kind of notices the claw marks and looks back and forth between the new bit of direwolf hair and the marks on the stone. Is there any sort of indication that something has moved beyond this point? Like, is there any kind of trail around the stone?
Make an investigation check for me.
That is a big old 9.
9. With the trail that you guys made, you can see that some of it's actually started to spring back up again. So, accounting by that, you can kind of come to the logical conclusion that if anything would have came this way and left path, it would have come right back up. It's pretty hard to kind of discern. There is some dust kicked up here and there, but that could just be from you guys walking around. It could be from Jerome. You're not really sure.
He kind of peeks around the stone, sees that the field looks just as it always has, and turns back to see Esmenee kind of inspecting the stone slab, and approaches her. What did you find?
Claw marks, I think.
And he kind of looks back over to Lyra and nods and just says, I don't think you're the only direwolf now.
Well, doesn't reassure me that I'm not crazy. But at least we know I didn't attack this place.
That concludes your investigation. Any questions? Anything else you want to look for?
Maybe you weren't seeing yourself but somebody else.
That's what I said.
That's in game.
That's in game.
Are you kidding me?
Like, just said that. Just trying to listens to me.
Just because you said it louder does not make it more true.
And then Peren's like,
I didn't see
maybe
anything.
you're seeing someone else's visions.
Peren, you've come back to this. Like, you've really been looking for these trails, and you come back, and everybody's like looking at the table, and Fur's got burn his hands.
What's
you
a
know.
dart?
Lyra doesn't want to leave, but she feels like she's going crazy.
Do you guys think it's that Jeremy dude?
I mean, there's
There's
not
always
that I
the
would know, but it
possibility.
seems like there's not really anything here for us.
You guys head back to the barge.
Yeah.
Fur pockets the wood or the 2 samples of fur.
As they're walking, Quinn puts a hand on Lyra's shoulder and says, "We'll figure it out. That's all we can try to do."
Can you make a wisdom saving throw for me, please?
Roll for punch.
Oh no.
Your wild magic.
Oh no.
It's been
What did you roll?
A natural one.
Wow.
I mean, with the
It's
7?
2 of those tonight.
I appreciate
If it's a
how
natural one,
dice
it's a
rolls
natural one.
Yeah.
turn our
Um,
characters into like
You
idiots.
reach out
That's not
and
better.
touch Lyra, and the second you touch her shoulder, she collapses.
Oh, good.
Oh!
And that's where we're gonna end tonight's session.
No.